Hello yogis, welcome back to your mat. If we have not met, my name is Krista. Thank you so much for coming onto my channel. For today's class, we are going to be doing a Vin to Yin style class. This is one of my personal favorites because the first half of the class is more of like a vinyasa flow, and then the last half of the class is going to be a traditional Yin style class. So holding the poses for a longer period of time to really balance out those yin and those yang energies. So the vinyasa being the yang energy, the very energetic energy, to get that prana, that chi flowing. And then our yin energy is to really find softness, find stillness, and to really tap into that yin, that very quiet energy. Now I do have 2 blocks here that I will be using for the vinyasa part of the class as well as the yin, and then a bolster for the yin portion, which you can just use a cushion or whatever you have at home. So let's get started just in a seated position, any comfortable seat. And with your inhale, start to reach the arms up overhead. Take your gaze up towards your thumbs. And then exhale, hands down through heart center. Allow your whole inhale to really expand the arms, lift them up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, lower down through heart center. Just starting to connect our breath with our movement. Last one, exhale. Now bring your right hand beside your right hip. Inhale, left arm reaches up towards the sky. Exhale, side bend over to that right side. Keep that left sits bone rooted onto the mat. And with your next inhale breath, start to reach your chest, open up towards the sky. Find your cactus arm with that top arm, reach it back. And then exhale, curl the spine as you tap that pinky down towards the floor. Inhale, spiral open, reach your heart up towards the sky. And exhale, hollow out through the chest, tap the pinky down. Beautiful, nice fluid movement. Really focusing and honing in on your breath. Next time your pinky touches down onto the floor, just come back into that side bend. Take one last deep inhalation through the ribs. And then exhale, come back up through center. We'll do that on the other side. This time, right arm reaches up towards the sky. Now let's side bend over to the left side. And then start to take that top arm back. Find your cactus arm expanding across the chest. And then exhale, tap the pinky down to your mat. Inhale, open up. Exhale. Beautiful. Last one here. And exhale. Beautiful. Last time, revisiting that side bend. Really press the ribs up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, come back up through center. Roll over your shins, come into a child's pose. Just keeping this child's pose active. As you sit the hips down towards your heels, keep actively reaching the arms towards the top of your mat. On your next inhale breath, shift your weight forward, come into that modified plank. So there's a straight line from the crown of the head all the way to the knees. Think of tucking your tail between your legs, squeeze your bum. And then exhale, bend the elbows, lead with the chest, slowly lower all the way onto your mat. And then from here, press into the palms, push yourself back to that modified plank, send the hips back, active child's pose. Yeah, let's do that a few more times. Inhale, ripple forward, modified plank. Exhale, strong core. Lead with the chest as you squeeze the elbows in. Beautiful. Once you come all the way to the bottom, then press into the hands, engage the core to push yourself back up. Send the hips back, child's pose. Option to tuck the toes here to feel a little bit of a stretch in through the feet. Last one, ripple forward. Exhale, lower all the way down. Now we're going to stay here. Bring your arms alongside the body, palms face down towards the floor. On your next inhale breath, start to fly the arms, lift the chest, and lift the feet to hover. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades together. Beautiful. One more breath in. One more breath out, really activating the full back chain of the body. And then exhale to release. Hands underneath the shoulders, press back to a tabletop, and then find your downward facing dog. Come into that upside down V shape with the body. And for this first downward dog, pedal out the feet. Keep a bend in the knees if that feels better for you. And with every exhale, sink your chest down towards your thighs. Pressing through every pad of every fingertip. Now bring the big toes to touch. Inhale, right leg reaches high into the air for three-legged down dog. Bend the knee, open up the hip, reaching the knee up towards the sky. Keep reaching the toes to the opposite shoulder. And then exhale as you shift your weight forward, step right foot between the hands, drop the back knee down. Inhale, rise up for your low lunge. Really sink the pelvis forward, but keep that left glute engaged here so we protect our hip. Now exhale, drop the arms alongside the body, lift your sternum bone up towards the sky. And then inhale, lean your weight forward, raise the arms in front of you all the way up to the sky. Beautiful. Exhale, sink, melt, finding a little back bend. And then inhale, shift your weight forward, rise up like a wave. Exhale. Inhale. Hollowing out through the chest as you rise up. And we'll take one more breath here in this low lunge, and then hands down to your mat. Option to use your blocks here. You may or may not need them. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee up. So you're coming into a runner's lunge. From here, start to send the hips back as you straighten through that front leg. Inhale, ripple forward, come back to your lunge. Beautiful. Now send the hips back. Keep squeezing the inner thighs towards one another. Beautiful. Ripple forward. Lead with the chest. One more time. Let's take it back. Beautiful. Now come forward. Have a nice strong foundation in the feet. Start to lift yourself up, crescent lunge. Make sure that front knee is stacked over the ankle just so you have a nice strong foundation in the legs. Yeah, think of nipping that bottom rib and the hip bone together. So try not to just arch your back. Really keep the body active here. And then start to pivot that back heel down. Open up the arms, warrior two. Energetically drag the feet towards each other so it really starts to activate the inner thighs. Flip the front palm, take your reach up and back, reverse your warrior. And then exhale, side angle pose. That right forearm comes to the top of the right thigh. That left arm can come to point up towards the ceiling or towards the top of your mat. Breathe. Inhale, rise all the way up. Pivot all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat. And then heels in, toes out. Bend the knees, sink into goddess pose. From here, extend the arms in line with the shoulders. Start to side bend towards the back side of your mat. Then drop down, sweep the floor. Side bend over towards the front of your mat. And then inhale, let's rise up. So the legs are staying the same, it's just the upper body that's moving. So let's do that a few more times. Side bend, sweep down to the floor, nice and slow. Side bend to the front. Inhale to come up. Yes, your legs might be burning a little bit here. Just breathe through it. We're almost there. And then once you come up in your last round, inhale, extend the legs, reach the arms up to the top, hands onto the hips, pivot all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat. And then little bend in the knees, start to pivot from the hips, fold forward. Wide-legged forward fold. Here is where you rest. Breathe. Shift your weight a little bit more forward so you feel your hips stack over your heels. And then hands onto the mat, inhale, halfway lift. Then start to walk, pivot the toes to the top of your mat. Move any props out of the way. Hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Now we're going to do that on the other side. Bring the big toes to touch. Left leg reaches high into the air. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Keep reaching that knee up towards the ceiling. Toes reaching towards the opposite shoulder. And then exhale, shift your weight forward. Draw knee into chest. Step between the palms. Bring the back knee down. Once you set up the foundation in the legs, inhale, rise up, low lunge. And now exhale, drop the arms alongside the body. And then inhale, shift the crown of the head forward, raise the arms overhead. Beautiful. Exhale. Inhale. Beautiful. Last one. Move with your breath. And then exhale, hands down to your mat. Reach for your blocks. Tuck your back toes under, lift the back knee up. Take a big breath in here, and then exhale, send your hips back, round the spine forward. Inhale, come back to your lunge. Keep yawning the back of that leg open. Exhale to send it back. Inhale to ripple forward. Last one here. Inhale, come back to your runner's lunge. Come light on the fingertips. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. To stay for a few breaths here, really feeling the legs, feeling the body. And then drop the back heel down, open up warrior two. Keep reaching the arms out in opposite directions. Flip the front palm, take your reach up and back in space. And then exhale, side angle pose. Left forearm on top of left thigh. Right arm reaches up towards the sky or towards the top of your mat. Inhale, lift the shoulders over the hips. Pivot all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat. Heels in, toes out. Sink the hips down, sink the hips low, goddess pose. Arms out in line with the shoulders. This time, side bending again towards the back of your mat. So now start to side bend over towards the back of your mat. Sweep down towards the floor. Side bend towards the top of your mat. Inhale, lift up. Beautiful. 2 more just like that. Moving nice and slow. Breathing. Feeling the body. Last one. Beautiful. The next time you come up, extend the legs, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands onto the hips. Pivot all 10 toes to the long edge of your mat. Wide-legged forward fold, hands meet the earth. Breathe. Slow, steady breathing. This is your resting point. And then inhale, come up halfway. Walk your hands, your feet, point to the top of your mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Now we're going to come into the yin portion of our class. So slowly lower your knees down towards the floor. Come to sit onto your bum. And first pose is our butterfly pose. So bring the soles of the feet together, knees apart, and sit up nice and tall. Reconnecting to your breath. And then start to play with your edge as you lean forward. And once you feel that first place of resistance in the body, so that first place where you might feel a little bit of a stretch or sensation of any kind, that's where you stop. Maybe reach for any props that you have handy, and just placing your props so that you can rest your head and relax your neck. Notice your breath as it moves in and out. Fill up your belly with every inhale. And deflate your belly with every exhale. As you lengthen each inhale and each exhale, notice how your body responds. As you feel this softness come across every muscle. And we'll just stay here for a few more breaths. Bring your hands onto the earth. And gently roll the spine up vertebrae by vertebrae. Allow the head, the neck to come up last. Stabilize. Move any props off to the side. Close your legs up like a book. Now we're going to come into frog pose. So you can come to face the long edge of your mat and then fold up the corners, and that's just going to give some added cushion to your knees. If you have a blanket nearby, that also will feel really nice for the knees as well. So I'm just going to face this way to the top of my mat. And so just start by sitting with your knees really wide apart. Walk your hands forward and then draw the ankles so that they come in line with the knees. And you can lower down onto forearms if that feels comfortable. And ideally, you want to think of keeping the hips and the knees at the same distance. And if it's comfortable, you can also lower fully lowering your chest down towards the floor. Once you settle here, really think of relaxing the muscles of the inner thighs. And in yin, we always stay for a length of time in each pose. And this really helps our body to adapt to the shape that we're in. And it allows maybe over time for your body to invite you a little bit further. So if you've been in your frog pose for a little bit, you can play with what it feels like to bring the knees further away from one another. And something I always like to remind myself and my students is you can never go too deep, but you can go too deep too fast. So our bodies create this stretch reflex as a warning to not go any further because our body's not safe. Our body doesn't feel safe there. If we ease into it over time, we can find this expansion of new depth. And just be here for a few more breaths. And we'll come out, my favorite way to come out of this pose is to simply start to send your hips forward and then lowering onto the chest. And then once your chest and belly reach the mat, then it's easier to slither your legs back towards one another. Now keeping your legs fairly wide, maybe knees as wide as your mat, and then just bring the soles of the feet together. So this is called diamond. And ideally you want to keep the hips and the feet at the same level. So if that means that your hips are raised, then you want your feet the same distance as your hips. If you can bring the pelvis all the way down as well as your feet, then you stay there. Just breathe. And then slowly start to shake out the feet, swaying the feet from side to side. And as you do so, drawing the knees closer together. And this sway will bring a nice massage across the quadriceps. And drop your feet down towards the floor, staying for a moment in our belly shavasana. Breathing deeply into the belly. Now hands underneath the shoulders. Push yourself back. Let's find a child's pose. This is where you might want your bolster or a cushion. And bring the knees nice and wide, toes to touch, and then lower your chest down onto the bolster. Focus your breath as it expands the backside of the body. Releasing any muscular contraction. Now hands underneath the shoulders. Push into the mat to lift yourself up. Just stay for a breath or two. And I'm just going to keep my bolster handy, this time putting it horizontal to the top of my mat. Sit on to your bum. Coming into Shavasana. So this part is totally optional, but I'm just going to keep the bolster underneath my knees or underneath my thighs and start to curl down onto the mat. And settling here in your final Shavasana. Allow your body to sink fully into the mat. Allowing full relaxation as you let go of the physical body. Spend these next few moments just really allowing the body and the mind to drift. Noticing any thoughts that pop up into the mind and just watching them come in and out. We'll spend these next few moments just in some stillness, finding that true yin energy, allowing the body to fully let go. And I will guide you back. Start to invite a deep breath in through your nose. Fill up your lungs. An open mouth and just let the air go. Bring your physical body and your mental body back into this space. Start to notice, really notice your body in this space. Feel the air as it touches your skin. And if you'd like to stay longer in your Shavasana, please feel free to do so. I will leave you here, and until next time, yogis, namaste.